Greetings, everyone. It is a charming May Day. It's May 26th, 2021. And y'all know what that means. A new day, a new video. But before we get to that, remember as always to like, share, subscribe. Hit up my Patreon. I'm always posting new stuff there for you in exchange for you giving to me. It's a give and a take and a take and a give, and however you want to look at it. The link to that is in the description below, along with the links to my Instagram and Facebook pages closely related to the content I'm posting both on my This Day in History channel as well as my Steve the Amateur Historian channel. I'm posting these vlogs to both. And all that said, let's get to today's video. So y'all know the term bad bitch, right? It's a term more common to contemporary. It's part of the contemporary lexicon. Not exactly something you'd hear people throwing back and forth to each other in the 1700s or whatever, but we all know what it is. We know what it means. And in that vein, in the lineage, the history of bad bitches that have come and gone, I submit to you Dora Geitman of New York City, New York, who found herself face to face with not just any old burglar. No. She found herself face to face with a fella who went by the name of Louis Gladeth. Glad Death. He was going to be glad for his death by the end of this. So, Louis Gladeth was not just another punk looking to break into the home of an unsuspecting woman home by herself and take advantage of that situation and take what he could. Louis Gladeth was part of a East Side New York gang. Like, he was a gang, not gang in terms of how we think of it in the contemporary sense, but, the old day gang, roving gangs, people out making no good. But he wasn't just a member. It was believed that he was the leader of this gang. So this guy was a high-end thief. This guy was a notorious thief, at least somewhat notorious in New York City. And here he is in the home of a woman named Dora Geitman, who is home all by herself and suddenly finding herself face to face with this legend. I don't know if I'd go that far, but so Dora could have easily thrown her hands up and said, take whatever you want, stepped back, let him tie her up while he roamed the house stealing whatever his arms could carry. She could have stepped back and said, I can't compete with this, so I'll do the best thing I can to be safe and protect my life. I will just lay down and let this happen. But Mrs. Geitman said, not in my house. And she went at the guy and they proceeded to scuffle and fight and clang around. She was not going to let this guy walk into her home and tell her how things were going to happen. And as they scuffled and spun and bobbed and glanced off things and Lord only knows what, they ended up stumbling into the kitchen, at which time Dora caught her sights on a rolling pin. She snatched up that thing real quick and proceeded to beat Louis Gladeth with it. She beat him so bad that she killed him. In self-defense, obviously. She hit him so hard and with such fervor that it sent him flying through a window and tumbling out, down on the ground, dead. And a couple of police officers that were on foot were quick to report to the scene because they heard Dora screaming for help. And they fortunately were in a close enough vicinity that they could hear it. So of course they were, right around the corner. So they were quick to arrive on the scene. And when they show up, there's just Dora Geitman mess this woman's name up. No. Standing there, you know, in her home, seemingly all by herself. Probably a little worked up, you know. All the chemicals are bopping, and she's just like, I can just imagine her standing in her doorway, and she's still got the rolling pin in her hand, just like, there you are. Where were you when I needed you, police? But anyway, this is how much of a bad bitch Dora Geitman was. She gets attacked by this, you know, fairly notorious criminal. She handles him on her own just fine. And so the police do finally arrive on the scene. And Dora Geitman just looks at him and says, words to the effect of, I think you will find a dead burglar in my backyard. And you know, the moment she said that, she let that rolling pin drop like a mic drop. And sure enough, the police ventured out to her backyard. I'm sure the broken window and the chaos in the kitchen were pretty helpful in guiding them to where they needed to be. And there out in the backyard was the immobile, lifeless body of Louis Gladys. Probably just scattered, broken glass all around him. Probably a pretty severe bump, wound, whatever it would have been. I assume she beat him in the head. Just instinctively, I would think that's what you would go for. And yeah, he was down and he was out permanently. So, you know, you always hear the stories about the housewives home alone and the menacing crooks that they seek out opportunities like that because they think, well, it's just the lady home alone. What's she gonna do to stop me? And I'm sure they said it in exactly that type of voice. So, you know, a lot of guys got it in their head. If a woman is home alone, she will pose not only no threat, but no obstruction to me. She tries to put up a fight, I'll handle it just fine. But the indomitable spirit of Dora Geitman showed that is a folly. That is fire that you are choosing to play with. Because just like a man, a woman will defend her damn home to the point of beating you with a rolling pin if necessary. So this one goes out to you, Dora Geitman. I mean, she would have to be passed away by now, but this video is dedicated to you. You were one bad bitch. And that's the story. I mean, really, what more is there to say? So I'd like to thank you, as always, for stopping by, taking in the daily video. If you want to help me continue to do this content, of which I love doing, remember to like, share, hit up my Patreon, all these things that help my channel. You can also, well, my Patreon is, I'm stumbling, I was doing so good. But, you know, obviously signing up for my Patreon helps me, and I help you by putting stuff on there, extra content for you, and it helps me do what I want to do in a better setting. The link to my Patreon is in the description below, along with the links to my Instagram and Facebook pages closely related to the content that I'm posting on both my This Day in History channel, as well as my Steve the Amateur Historian channel, and you can watch these videos on either channel, because I'm posting them on both. And all that said, all you bad bitches out there, you stay bad and bitchy, I guess. This has been Steve, and I'll see you tomorrow.